All right, so I am in Algebra 1. Today's date is Tuesday, January 14th. Make sure you have the date 1/14, 2020. 20, why is that not working right there? I don't know. Maybe I zoom or go down. There it goes. Okay. What is our objective with the quiet raised hand today? Jade had it first.
Create a model of one inequality that has two variables.
Yep.
From a word problem.
And then tomorrow, I haven't actually looked, but I'm going to guess that turns into 2 inequalities tomorrow. So, who wants to read example number 1? It's talking about Wyatt. Oh yeah, Wyatt.
Alright. Wyatt has $134 of birthday money to spend on video games and Star Wars action figures. Each game costs $20 and each action figure costs $15. Write an inequality that represents the number of video games, the variable B, and action figures, the variable A, that Wyatt can buy with his birthday money.
I have a question.
Yes, question.
Variables be lowercase?
In Khan Academy for this assignment, for some reason they are capitalized. So I am gonna leave it uppercase for today. Side tangent. Does anyone know why we call it uppercase and lowercase? Because when the printing press was developed, they actually had to have blocks of these letters that they would put the blocks in for the printing press, and they had drawers. They had a top drawer and a bottom drawer. They kept all their lowercase letters in the lowercase, and then the uppercase letters in the upper. I don't know. It's weird that we call it that, but that's where it came from. Anyway, coming all the way back to actual math, we need to somehow write an inequality. So do you think that we're going to be adding or subtracting these variables? What are our thoughts here? Yeah, Larissa, you have a card?
Subtract.
Yeah, why do you think you're going to be subtracting?
Because it's like spend the money on those, so it's, you're gonna use your money to get those things.
Okay, so that's some good logic. Yeah, we're going to be subtracting the money from the total of $134. And that's me having a bad question, so I apologize. In terms of action figures and video games, are we going to be adding or subtracting those 2 variables? So if I change that question, what would we be doing with those, Larissa?
I think you'd also be subtracting still, right?
Why subtracting?
Because, wait. If they are the video, or if they're like the video games
Thank you.
and Star Wars, I think you would add it, because then it would all add up to what the total cost.
Right, exactly. So we want to add those prices together. So in general, yeah, thank you. If you can just pass your card around. In general, we're going to somehow assign a cost per video game and a cost per action figure. So somehow I'm going to be doing some V plus, I'm doing something V plus something A. And I need some sort of inequality in this spot, and I'm going to have $134. I need to make sure that I spend either above or below $134. So what should our coefficients of these variables be? With another quiet raised hand. Yeah, Emma?
What would it be? 20b plus 15a?
You are correct, and why did you choose those values?
Because each game costs $20 and an action figures cost 15.
Yeah, so you're just assigning those values, and kind of the key word here is each. Whenever you see the word each or per, that means you are multiplying. That means you're doing some sort of coefficient. And that's not going to be too challenging for today because it's going to be the same thing over and over. You're always going to be assigning the number in front of the variable. So at least from what I've seen, I've only done 5 problems for example 1 types. But in all of those 5 that I saw, they always look like this, where you assign the same coefficient. You're always going to have coefficient times this. You might have an add or subtract, coefficient times this, and then always an inequality symbol here. So the last step to complete our inequality is, what is the sign? Is it a less than or equal to, a greater than or equal to? Is it a not equal to? That's never the case, it's not equal to. But it's one of those 4 that we're using over and over again. Who has their card still? Yeah, Kira.
It'd be a less than 34 because otherwise what would roll on?
Okay, so you are correct that it should be under $134. It can't be over $134. So then the next question I have for you is, why did you choose less than instead of less than or equal to?
I didn't think of less than or equal
Okay, so now that I mentioned it, which one would you choose?
Less than or equal to.
Why?
Because,
Thank you, Jade.
like, why not spend all the money for
Exactly, yeah. I can go down to $0. Why can have $0 as well? Yeah, so the correct answer is less than or equal to. So there's our full equation done. Thank you,
That was
Kira.
actually pretty.
But you just have to make equations.
That's the only thing you have to do for types of problems like example 1. Example 2 and 3, you need to answer questions about an inequality that it gives you. So in Jade's problem, it's going to be some sort of inequality, and then in Charles's problem, it's going to be some sort of inequality. You have to answer questions. What's going on? Who wants to read example number 2? Jade, go for it.
Jade decided to install solar panels on the roof of her house. The box that the solar panels came in state that they can generate power up to 450 kilowatts per day. It generates power at a constant rate when the sky is cloudy and a constant rate when it is sunny. Let C represent the number of hours when the sky is cloudy and S when it's sunny. 8C plus 40L is less than or equal to 400.
Yeah, cool. Can you read that one question too?
At what rate do the solar panels generate power when it is cloudy?
Perfect. Are these answers to the question already? Oh,
Question.
yeah, so if there's a question, this helps me. I saw Wyatt's hand first with the question.
Where did the L come from?
That was my
Yeah.
same question.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I
Yeah, if you guys want to all log the extra credit point in your extra credit trackers, I'll come around and sign those hopefully today. That should definitely be an S. I don't know where that L came from.
Mr. Sindel,
Wait, what are we
I didn't bring my folder today, so could you sign mine tomorrow?
Yes, if you can remember it. Yeah, in your extra credit tracker, you just put today's date on the left-hand side of one of the extra credit points, and I will come for the teacher error. Yeah, and then on the right-hand side, I will come sign it. Give me some room. I can, I guess, sign on top of the day too. And that's one extra credit point for you guys. And that's me being I need to be a better teacher. Anyway, so we have a weird inequality, but there it is. It should be an S there.
That's
Um,
this extra credit tracker.
Yes. And hopefully you guys are going to be logging study groups in that thing too, because I swear, like, there's at least 2 kids every year or every semester that study like really well with someone else. It's not even studying that hard. It's just like, oh, I did homework with my friend. I went over to his house, or I was on FaceTime and we did homework together. That is extra credit. If you're doing math together outside of my classroom, that's extra credit. And I think, who was it? It was Eder and was it Fernando? I can't remember the second person, but they worked together for an entire semester. Both of them had so much extra credit, they overflowed, and they got a full letter grade bump just by working on homework together. Please work on homework together. Please do studying together outside of my class. I will reward that very heavily. Study groups are the best way to be successful in math, especially when you go to college. And I learned that the hard way by not doing the study groups and making it harder on myself by just learning on my own. If you have friends, it makes it much easier to study. It makes it much more likely that you will do the studying in the first place.
But how do you know we'd be doing it?
I trust you guys.
Buddy.
If there's some reason that you invalidate my trust, then I will have to change that system. Yeah, Emma.
You said Fernando and who?
English major really
I think Fernando and Eder.
So like we just work together and then we come in the next day and tell you that we did it together.
You don't even need to tell me. Just log in your extra credit tracker now. Well, I would love it if you told me because I'm like, yes, I'll like root for you. But like, I think Eder and Fernando didn't even tell me, and then at the end of the room, like, oh my God, you guys studied forever. Yeah, full like letter grade bump. I think Eder had like a B and he had an A in the class, so it was like a full nice 10% grade
If
bump.
you have an A and then you do study.
Then you get 110%. There's no such thing as an A plus because Levine High School doesn't allow me to give A plus. I wish I could. The highest grade you can get is an A, but you can still have 110% in class if you want.
110. Wow.
You know what? If anyone has 110%, I will give you a personal A.
You get an A in Eamon's book.
I broke 100%.
So coming back to our example number 2, so we're talking about rates. And up here we had kind of a rate. It's a rate of $20 per video game or a rate of $15 per action figure. So coming back and analyzing our problem, according to this, and it's not too hard of a question, at what rate do solar panels generate power when it is cloudy? It's just a number.
8.
There shouldn't be shouting down the answer. Charles,
8
how'd you get 8?
kilowatts because it's 8C.
Done, yeah.
8 times.
8 kilowatts per hour when it's cloudy. That's what that 8C represents. And therefore, At what rate do solar panels generate power when it is sunny out? Eamon.
They generate power. They generate power at 40 kilowatts
40 kilowatts per
day.
day, yeah.
So in a way, this one is almost easier because you just
Analyze yeah.
you're just answering like.
Yeah, you're interpreting an equation, or an inequality. If I just showed this to your parents and they saw that, they'd be like, "What's going on?" Or maybe they're mathematicians and they have some background. But usually, when people first see that, they're like, "What's going on?" But if you can interpret it with the context of the question, that's kind of what I'm all about today. And then finally, do the solar panels exceed its maximum capacity of 450 kilowatts when the sky is cloudy for 2 hours and then sunny for 10 hours? That's a strange day, because if you're sunny for 10 hours, that's like you have to be in Alaska during a certain type of the year, I guess. But you're assuming, 10 hours sunny, 2 hours cloudy. How do I even think about that problem? What am I going to do? I know that Wyatt has an idea. I'm going to wait for other people to think. I'm going to wait for more hands, and then I'm probably going to call on Esha because she has her card. I want to get more people thinking about this. What does that even mean? Can you even interpret the question? All right, I feel like that's enough time to think. Esha, yeah.
Well, it's basically asking like if the solar panels ever charge when it's 2 hours cloudy and 10 hours of sunniness, and we're supposed to figure this out. Are we supposed to figure this out?
We're supposed to, somehow use this inequality, interpret that inequality with this information: cloudy 2 hours, sunny 10 hours. Do you see any connection between those and the inequality?
Oh yeah. So you can okay, so you do two. You do 8 times 2. I'm pretty sure, plus 40 times 10 is less than or equal to 450. And
40.
Hey,
Mr.
40.
Sindel, teacher error. You
wrote
placed on 4
4 times
instead of 40.
Okay. Yeah, Damon, you can log it. Thank you. Yeah, so 40 times 10 is less than or equal to 450. And then, Asha, continue by saying, what happens if the left-hand side is less than 450? What happens if the left-hand side is greater than 450? What does that mean?
Well, if the less than side is greater than 450, then it means that it isn't a solution.
Somehow use these words.
It means that it didn't exceed to its maximum capacity for energy.
Can you say it one more time? Because you had the first half of the sentence, and then I lost you for the second half of the sentence.
If it's greater than 450, it means it hasn't exceeded its maximum capacity.
It has or has not?
It has not. Oh, wait a second. No, because it's greater. Because it's greater than 450, so it has exceeded its maximum capacity.
Exactly. And that's what we're checking. Yeah, thank you. Someone else, can you do the math? Is there anyone that still has their card? Ulysses, yeah.
I got 8 times 2, 16, and then 40 times 10 is 400, and then adding together and got 460 is less than or equal to 450.
Yeah. All right, and then I need another quiet raised hand. What does that mean? And I'm hopefully going to call in someone with their card, try to get as many people in as possible. Anyone still have their card? No? Wyatt has been very patient over there. I'm going to call on you, Wyatt.
Thank you. So, because the equation is true that 416 is less than or equal to 450, no, the solar panels do not exceed its maximum capacity when it is cloudy for 2 hours and sunny for 10 hours.
Perfect, thank you. I'll try to write down your answer as best as I can. They do not exceed
The maximum.
its maximum capacity. All right, and we are 2/3 the way done because we just have one more problem in the back talking about Charles. I'll wait for most pencils to finish writing. The main answer that you need to have is no. If I had to box anything, I would just say no. All right, and then we're on to the backside. So, we're doing a fundraiser, it looks like, Charles. Who wants to read example number 3?
Charles.
All right, we'll give it to Charles.
Charles is in charge of a school fundraiser that sells hamburgers and hot dogs. The goal of the fundraiser is to raise $600. Let B represent the number of hamburgers and let D represent the number of hot dogs. 12B plus 8D is greater than 600. I have a question.
Yes.
Shouldn't it be greater than or equal to?
I just thought about that too, yeah. You can log it, Charles, since you're the one that caught it.
Ah.
Can you explain why?
Because they either make that, I either make that exact or bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So if I make $600, you have achieved your goal. Therefore, I need an equal to $600 to achieve the goal. All right, continue, Charles.
If Charles sold 35 hamburgers and has now run out, how many hot dogs does he need to sell in order to achieve his goal?
Okay, so another interpreting question. This one is slightly harder because there's like a lot of interpreting that you have to do and a little bit more math than the last example. So I'll let everyone kind of think on that question. We have sold 35 hamburgers, B for hamburgers. So 35 hamburgers. We're asking how many of these hot dogs do we need to make in order to get at least $600 for the fundraiser? All right. Is there a quiet raised hand to tell us like how to approach this problem, what steps to do, anything at all? I see 2 hands. I see 3 hands. I see 4 hands. Yeah, Eamon, talk to us.
I mean, since you know how many hamburgers there are, you would need to multiply. You need to change the B to 35 and multiply that, and then multiply those 2 numbers together to get a certain number. And then from there, you need to subtract that number from 600, and then the result of those 2 numbers you divide by 8.
Oh, yeah, you have all of the steps done. Can I go ahead and write them out for you? So, yes, we do need to multiply 12 by 35. Someone else, can you? 420. Thank you, Charles. And then we'll just continue writing down the rest of the inequality. This is going to be plus 8, capital D, is greater than or equal to 600, and then writing down the same line again. This is still plus 8, capital D, is greater than or equal to 600. I feel like if I said 8D, and then the way that I write, you could think of this as 80. So 8 capital D. And then, as Eamon said, I need to subtract 420 from both sides. Essentially, we're just solving this inequality now. So as we subtract 420 from both sides, this is still Eamon's work because he did the full problem mentally, which is pretty cool. Minus 420, get rid of those. I'm left with 8 capital D on the left-hand side. That should be a capital D there. Is greater than or equal to, I'm going to subtract these. I need someone's help. Quiet raised hand, Larissa.
180.
180, thank you. 180. And then Eamon's last step, he said to divide both sides by 8. So divide both sides by 8, divide both sides by 8. I have a question for you guys. Does the inequality flip? Quiet raised hand for this one. Asha?
No,
Why?
because we're not dividing by a negative.
There it is. Thank you. Yeah, it does not flip. We are not multiplying or dividing by that negative. So 8 cancels out. We are left with capital D, which represents hot dogs. D for dogs. Is greater than or equal to, what am I going to do with this right-hand side? Quiet raised hand. 22.5. Thank you, Charles. 22.5.
You can still have hot dogs, so you can either round up or round down.
Yeah, and that's the question. So another quiet raised hand. Should the answer be 22 or 23 hot dogs? Emma.
Wait, I was
Oh.
confused at one point.
Oh yeah, what's your question?
How can we get 420 divided by 180?
Oh, this is me doing the bar saying, now we are doing this subtraction problem of minus 420 and 600 minus 420 is 180. Yeah, sorry about that. I can make that a little bit clearer.
It's okay.
Yeah, Wyatt, talk to us.
So I think that you would want to sell 23 hot dogs if you can't sell half a hot dog to a 5-year-old. So, because you have to get equal to or above 600, so it's okay to go above, but if you go below, you won't make money off of the fundraiser, so it should be 20.
Perfect, yeah. And that's a great answer. So in order to actually achieve the fundraiser, it can't be 22 because if this D right here is 22, 22 is not greater than or equal to 22.5. So we'll round up in this case to make sure that we have 23. And there's an interesting study that I just read last week where like a bunch of 8th graders were given the problem like, how many buses do you need to transport like military troops and all this stuff? And they're like, oh, you need 22.75 buses. And then everyone's just like, that's not right. So make sure that when it's in the context of a real world problem, don't answer with 22.5 because while you could cut a hot dog in half, you're most likely going to sell a full hot dog. Is it a question? Yeah, what's your question?
So like, how come? So when we were estimating, right? It was just for D. That's what we were doing.
When we were say the question one more time.
Like when we were estimating, like for, or I don't really know. Never mind.
Is it for this final step?
Yeah. Like how come you didn't just write D equals 23? Or we like, was that for D? 23 was for D.
Yeah, 23 is the answer. So I would box 23. So I have to choose some whole number that is greater than or equal to 22.5. The next whole number above 22.5 is 23. Yeah, real world problems very frequently will have whole numbers unless it's like liquids or something that you can pour exactly the right amount. Yeah, okay, any other questions? And then my final question for you is, what is your level of understanding for the objective? Can you guys create a model for one inequality that has two variables from these word problems? I see, I'm going to call that a 6, a 6, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 4, a 4.5, we go, a 4.5, 5, 4, 4, 4. All right, thank you.
7.
Oh, it was a 7, okay.